everyone, welcome back to the Atmospheric Cafeteria. And it is sometime in the beginning of April, and it is a lovely spring day, and I've been called to do a reading. For all you ADHDers, making myself get up every morning and do my dishes, or try and do them at night before bed and put them away the next day or the same day. My dishes are still done. Just so you know, forcing myself to do that even on the days I didn't want to do that has really been positive for anybody who needs to know that. That has been my kind of goal lately, is to do these things that I know help myself be better, help me be better, help myself be better. So, alrighty. So we got my coffee today in my Hello Kitty cup. What's that? Quite loved. In other words, it's got coffee all over. Anyway, let's see what we've got today. I had two decks that wanted to come out and play, making sure everything is the way I need it. I thought I would be fine with it being lower, and I was wrong. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Crocheter a baggie. Whee. She got a little bag, and she's so happy. I'm gonna put this on my lap. Looks like it wants to be near. Hello, Spirit. I probably could, but I'm just gonna leave them in there because I don't see a reason not to. Spirit's like, why don't you take those out of there? I'm like, why? Why should I bother? I just leave them in there. Like, what the heck, you know? Let me just double check. All right, yeah, everything is good there. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you. If you know, you know. All right, Spirit. Oh, hello, everyone. We can do that. I feel like bunhead might mean something to someone, and someone's missing their mom. You know, it was funny. I was looking at something earlier, and it was the numbers 2 and 9. No, why can't I do this? And I was like, whoa, 2 plus, 2 and 9. And together that equals 11. And then 1 and 1 is 2, and it like came back together, and something said, that equals union. It's 2 is union, 9 is, a big change, and together that's 11, and 11 is really big new beginnings. And when you add that together, that equals 2, which is union. So it's like union brings a huge change, which brings new beginnings for two people, which together brings union into the great divine path of union, of completion. Like they say, it's not that love your grandma and grandpa had, because your grandma and grandpa stayed together because they really didn't have much of a choice in the matter. Don't ever let anybody kid you about that. You know, in the old days, no one got divorced. I mean, people really didn't get divorced until the 70s and 80s. And when they did, it wasn't really looked well upon. So, I think there's somebody who needs to understand that right here. There's somebody who's, it's like their parents never got divorced and they never understood why. And I'm being told it's because your parents came from a generation where people didn't get divorced. They just plowed right through. And they just did that. And that's just what they got used to. It doesn't make it right. But at the time they didn't really have any choice. And they tell me they're 70s. Hi, honey. Ooh, a little cough. Oh, it's okay. You're all right. You're home, honey. Ooh, I got you. I got you. You did a good job. Yeah, the wee nightmare. Yeah. It's okay, baby. Yes. We got buns. We got bunny baya. We got bigger bunnies. We got the bunnies. So don't you worry. I will just shove a bunny in your face to make you feel better. But so I'm not sure if maybe these parents passed away in their 70s, or if they passed away in the 1970s. But I'm given the impression that even if they were in their 70s now, they were not going to get divorced because that's not what you did back then. And this doesn't mean, you know, people are in their 50s now, whatever, my age, 53, and, you know, whatever. It means in the 1970s, these people were at an age where, well, we're in our 50s now, and the 80s have come, and we're in our 50s now, and, you know, rather than get divorced, we're just going to plug through. Yes. And these people probably died in their 70s sometime in the aughts, they're telling me. And this would have been something that, you know, their child just didn't understand. Like, they just didn't understand. Why, like they're looking around now going, why didn't they just get divorced? Because that's not what you did. You stuck it out. And it didn't matter how much it hurt. You just did that, they're saying. That's just what you do. Yes, I shuffle cards all friggin' different ways, and my hands just do it. I don't know what the hell I do half the time. Didn't even realize I started shuffling until I said that. Oh, I'm getting cold now. I love it. Hold on, guys. I gotta do that and have a sip of coffee. So yeah, Spirit, I don't know who needs to hear this. I feel like this is somebody who's actually older than myself. Somebody themselves who may have already been through a divorce, or maybe chose not to get married, or whatever it is. You're like in your 60s now, and you're like, why didn't my parents get divorced? Why didn't they do that? And it's because it just wasn't done. It just wasn't done. And sometimes that's a really, really hard thing for us to accept in 2025 at the age of 53, that in the 1970s, this just wasn't done. Because that's not a reality in 2025, okay? Because in 2025, women can get a checking account. In the 1970s, my mom couldn't get a checking account. Like, I used to sit here and wonder why she didn't buy a house at some point in the 80s, because she probably couldn't get a loan because she didn't have enough credit. because she was a woman. So really and truly, it wasn't until the 80s that the women really, really started to take back their lives and really and truly file for a divorce. And that's when divorce became popular. That's when people stopped getting married and more people started living together. And the people who, they're saying, it's not that they weren't comfortable with that idea, it's that they were set in their ways and they didn't know, they're telling me they didn't know or understand any other way to get out of those ways. That's just where they were. And they're telling me it breaks their heart because they really, 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 really wished for your sake that they had gotten divorced. And I want to see that they say that there's like 4 kids. I see like my grandparents who were very in love, but they had 4 kids. Like they had 3 girls and a boy, and their boy was the youngest. Oh, wow, I'm really like moved to tears. And they're like, you know, we just wish that we had gotten divorced. We stayed together, we did all the holidays, we did all the Christmases, but we were miserable. We didn't cheat on each other. We never left each other's side. We were faithful till the day we died. We were miserable. And they're saying, don't do that. Don't you do that. Don't you be miserable. If you're not happy, wow, this is big. Leave. Takes nothing. Just go. Don't stay if you're not happy. And it's okay, because if you're not happy with that person, that means that no matter how happy that person is with you, they're not really as happy as they think. And that's the scary part, because if you aren't happy with that person and that person is blissfully happy, then either A, you're avoiding something and not trying, or they're avoiding something and not seeing that there's a problem. So if you're not happy, go, because when you let this person go, then they find the person they're supposed to be with, and they can heal and look and reflect on what they actually need in a partner. And that should be the same thing that you do when you leave. And that's, you know, so important. And these spirits, I do see a man and a woman. They're glad I got that across. They're like, we just didn't. You know, we didn't technically even like each other. We could be in the same room together. We could sit and watch TV together, and then we might even, like I know people, former in-laws that would like be in the same room for like dinner and then go to their maybe watch a show together and then go to their respective rooms and watch their own TVs. They love their kids. You know, they're like, yeah, we love our kids. We'd run into a fucking they did not say the F word. They're like, yeah, we don't swear. They'd run into a burning building for you guys. They love you more than anything. They just never loved each other. They never should have gotten married. They weren't even pregnant when they got married. They just turned 18 and got married, and that's what you did in the 50s. It's like 1958 they're showing me, and you just get married and you pretend and you have the life and you have the black and white cute life, and everybody's got the little camera and we're all happy, and there's 4 kids, and you know, everybody's growing and things are moving and changing, and you don't love each other. It's like, oh, hey, hi, yeah, kiss, yeah, bye, oh yeah, see you later. And everybody knows, because when they go to other people's houses, they see their parents that kiss and hug and cuddle, and they wonder what's wrong in their own home. They don't get it, they're saying. And they just lived like that. And then you all grew up and you all moved on and you went to college and you had families, and you know, maybe some of you moved away, maybe some of you stayed in town, but you still always came home to see your parents. And they love you. They do not love each other. But they weren't going to get divorced, because that's just not what you did. They were going to stay faithful. They weren't going to look at other people. They were going to stay side by side, and they were going to support each other through thick and thin. but they were just never going to be happy with each other. Like there's that movie Fiddler on the Roof, and there's that song, do you love me? Yes, I love you. And their marriage was an arranged marriage. And I still have not gotten the coffee or put my jacket on. And in that, you know, they say they were not in love when they met. They did not love each other when they met. They didn't even know each other when they met. But over time, they grew an affection for each other and they fell in love. Okay? That did not happen here. These people got married, thought that was what they were supposed to do, got 3 kids in and realized this was not. Matter of fact, they're showing me, listen, we knew from like the first month this was the dumbest thing we ever did, but we were married and you couldn't get divorced, so we had 3 kids. And then we had the 4th one who seems like they were a surprise. And yeah, you know, we always had sex with each other. We, you know, never said no to each other. You know, there was never, you know, I bought her special gifts, she bought me special gifts, but we were not in love. I would even say that these people were not even in like with each other. They're saying that's going to be for the small few. Well, that's 15 minutes. So, yeah, Spirit's like, yeah. I don't know who needs to know that. But you do. And you need to know that even though your parents were never going to be happy together, they were happy with you. So, also we have a snoring pug over here. So maybe somebody's dad snored or used to take a nap in the living room snoring. My mom used to do that. Like, and you'd be like, Jesus Christ, Mary and Joseph, how the hell does she stand that? And she's like, all these years, what the hell else am I supposed to do? Close his nostrils and smother him? I mean, come on, what do you want me to do? Oh, that's a way. But what the hell? Sassy little lady. About the height of my mom. Like, I think my mom was like 5'7" or so. But, you know, they're like, yeah, we did not like each other. We had our own spaces. Like, we shared a bed. We shared space, but we also had our own space where I would go and watch TV and he would have the living room, or he would go, you know, wherever it was that they had. And you need to know, no matter how much they did not like each other. Now, they weren't going to, you know, have a out and out brawl about anything, because, you know, they could live under the same roof. No matter how much they disliked each other, they loved you children more than they disliked each other, which created a love and bond and union that enveloped all of you in their love. They didn't like each other, but they would die for you. So even though you felt that they didn't love each other, and they know that that affected you, they need you to know. I want to say maybe the youngest is in their 40s. Maybe the middle is in their 50s. That no matter how much they didn't like each other, they loved you more. So even though you feel this feeling of sadness because your parents never liked each other, and that, let's be honest. Let's not fuck around. Let's be honest. That makes a person, it doesn't make you feel whole when you know that your parents don't love each other. When you know they never liked each other. It doesn't give you a sense of wholeness. But what they're telling me is they want you to take that feeling that you have, and they want you to realize that feeling of sadness that your parents didn't like each other, they want you to take that feeling and recognize that within that feeling is the love that they both loved you more than life itself, and would have charged into a burning building. They would have made the plan to get you out of the castle. They would have plotted vengeance together, and it never mattered. They would have co-parented the fuck to get you out of wherever it was. They're looking at me and saying Liam Neeson. Maybe your dad liked Liam Neeson movies. They're saying Liam Neeson. Taken. Taken. They're showing me Taken. They would have done Taken. So as much as you feel that sadness that you have that they didn't like each other, they want you to open that up and expose what's true on the inside. Is that even though they didn't like each other, what's true when you open that, when you okay? They don't like each other, okay? Mom and dad, not fans. Not fans of each other, okay? Okay, mom, dad. No likey, okay? But you have this feeling in this hole of where mom and dad never liked each other, and it hurts. But mom and dad need you to know that even though they're in that hole, and even though there is that mom and dad didn't like each other, they want you to open this up, okay, like a giant egg. They want you to crack this open and realize mom and dad love you. I did not know I wrote that for that reason. Okay? When you take this dislike that mom and dad have for each other and you set that aside, they want you to see the love that they have for you. And the fact that they would go Taken 2 Electric Boogaloo. They would go Liam Neeson on someone's ass. They would plot and plan together in harmony to save you kids. You know, because let's face it, we all know. You have the parents that if this happened and whatever, they would never co-parent together to get their kid to safety, okay? These are the parents, no matter how much they don't like each other, they will defend you. Yeah. Did they stay together for the kids? No, they did not stay together. And that's another thing they're saying. They need you to know they didn't stay together for you guys. They stayed together because people don't get divorced. They're showing me it's like literally that they're like that mindset. Had we just gotten rid of that mindset, we would have been able to get divorced mutually, they said. They're telling me had we just been able to get out of this mindset, we would have agreed to mutually get divorced and co-parent. Like even like one of them's getting an apartment and the parents are taking turns at the house with the kids until the kids are at an age where whatever, right? Like, that's what they show me. They're like, if we had just been able to get out of that mindset. But they didn't stay together for you. They stayed together because people don't get divorced. And they could live under the same roof without killing each other. But putting that aside, the love they had for you was greater than the unhappiness they had of marriage. Because no matter how unhappy the marriage was, you guys were the joy. Like, they didn't like each other, but they could look and say, hey, Christine did this. Like, Christine just called the other night and she was telling me that Tallulah took her first steps, and then they get excited together. It's like, they're like, after a while, there was no love, there was a friendship of sorts. And that's what it was. You know, they want you to know, don't be sad for them. They made this choice. This was their life path. And they know that it hurts. And they want you to open that hurt, and they want you to see the love. Because as much as you hurt, they love you a million times more than that pain you feel. And they want that love they feel for you to wash over that pain like a green blanket. And that green negates the red of the pain, and it fills you with the love of your parents, that love of that person. And they need you to know that. They love you more than they disliked each other. because everything you did was an accomplishment in their eyes. Everything you did made them proud. Did they have that house? Yeah. Did they like each other? No. Did they wish now they hadn't been in that mindset? Yes. But they never stayed together for you. They just stayed together because they were in a mindset, and they just like, they really, really need you to know that. So yeah, I'm seeing kind of like a house next to a park in the suburbs. Maybe someone's named Karen. Yeah, they're like, yeah, the kids are hard-headed. It's got, they're like, it just, they're like, because I just want to keep repeating the same thing. Our dislike of each other is smaller than the love we have for you. Like, like, this is their dislike of each other. This is the love they have for you. And believe you me, they don't like each other. They do get each other gifts. They do deal with each other. They, you know, they're not going to let someone, you know, drive home after surgery by themselves. They're going to, you know, yeah, they're like, it's just a friendship. It's like a coworker. It's roommates, like coworker roommates. Yeah, but we just know each other intimately and learned everything. Like, you know, at some point, didn't you guys love each other? Didn't you grow an affection to each other? Like, I'm just curious because, like, they said there was an affection, a kind of an affection. It was more like a distant relationship. And you guys could feel that. And they're real sorry. They didn't want you guys to feel that. They tried to make the house warm every time you were there. They tried to hide it, but it was hard. Somebody might have even lived in like a duplex or like a side-by-side house. Like mom and dad owned the house and they lived in one side and then like rented out the other side or something. Might have been something they did after the kids left because they just didn't need as much room. And hey, why not make a little bit of money? Leave the kids some property. They say she misses you too. And they get along. They get along on the other side. They're fine. They're like sitting over there like best friends joking. So that makes me wonder. They say they're best friends on the other side, and when they came over this side, they knew they weren't going to love each other, and this was just going to be their path, because it was just the experience they had to have. But it's like they already knew the experience. They already knew the importance was love, but it was like there was something about relearning the experience. And I think that had to do with relearning the experience with the point of having this, like, they show me like this line of like this straight line. Which is funny because they show me two men. On the other side, they show themselves as two men, but on this side, they were a male and female. And I wonder. But they show me that on this side, they were never going to be in love. And it was just going to be this straight line. But this straight line was what was important for them to learn. And what this straight line is how to be with someone that you're not in love with, you're not in like with, because you have to be in like in order to be in love. But how to maneuver and live with somebody that you can tolerate, that you can be with, that you don't love, you don't really like, but their presence is acceptable. And they're saying that's kind of what the goal was to learn the acceptance of the presence of the soul. And like I said, they didn't get divorced because of a mindset, and that mindset is because they were doing this. But even they say, even though this was the line, I'm asking them if they could have jumped off that line at any time, if they could have gotten out of that mindset. And they're telling me no. They're telling me there wasn't another partner here for them. Now, the thing is that just because people stay married together because they don't believe in divorce, that doesn't mean that just means there isn't another soul out there for them. That doesn't mean that. That means that they could have had this mindset. They very well could have been on this path. But this path is not for everybody. This is just for your parents. If you are still here and this makes sense to you, this is for you and your parents who have passed away. Oh, we have a bad dream coming. Maybe somebody had bad dreams. Angel, it's okay. It's okay, baby. Oh, sweetie. I let him have his dreams because I used to wake him up and console him that way, and then slowly would just put my hand on him, and now I'm allowing him to just kind of, as long as they're not too bad, just have the dream so his brain can work through it. Same thing with Doug. They're both working through trauma right now, believe it or not. That's why Douglas had the anxiety attack while he was sleeping earlier, and then you see, and now Ernie's worked it out, and yeah, that was a big one. I can feel that one from him. Ooh, that made my coffee shake. So yeah, if you're still here, this is your parents that you just sat there and went, why the hell didn't you two people get divorced? This was their line. They're friends on the other side, best friends on the other side. But on this side, they made the choice to have the path where they get married, realize that they shouldn't have, and this is the path that they go. They needed to go this straight and narrow path. This has nothing to do with sexuality, just so that if you need to know. But this path, it was very straight. Now the purpose of this, because there wasn't anybody, like, if for some reason one of them had passed away early, or for some reason one of them had decided to get a divorce, whatever, no one would have ever found another person. They would have just lived alone, and whatever friends they have, they would have had. But they had a great friend circle in this. And even their friend circle always knew. And even their friend circle encouraged them to get divorced. But they'd be like, no, we're used to each other. I know what he wants for dinner. He knows what I like for Valentine's Day. You know what? He gets me my favorite box of chocolate every year, and he gets me a little gift. How can I compete with that? What other guy would do that? Sure, we should get divorced. But you know what? He's okay. but you don't love them. Yeah, but I can live in the same room with them. You know? They're like, we did have little things in common. We did have little things we liked about each other. You know, because they dated in high school. I mean, they showed me like 3 years they dated in high school. And maybe they got married at 17. I see Arkansas. And they weren't escaping bad homes. And they weren't getting married because they were pregnant. They just got married to get married. So, you know, at that point, you know, by the time they show me like getting married, ouch. Ooh, Charlie horse. Ooh, little Charlie horse start. They show me by the time they're getting married at 17, by 18, they realize, shit, we never should have done this. But then all of a sudden, someone's pregnant. And then by 19, you've got your first child. And, well, you know what? We can't get divorced, period, anyway, because divorce is not, you know, something you do in 1960 yet. You know, there's still that idea of we stay together because, you know, we're still 20 years away from women choosing to get divorced. And at this point, you know, men, the only person, you know, we all get the point here. But in their lives, in their path, they had to do this. And the purpose of this, they're telling me, what they were supposed to learn what they were supposed to learn was the mutual love they have for their children. This, you know, canopy of protection. Sure, we're not fond of each other, and today you've pissed me off and we might not talk for a week. But hey, you know, Judy's really struggling with college right now. Can you give her a call? You know, you always help her with that math. It makes her feel better. Yeah, you know, I was talking to Ryan the other day. He's having some girl problems, and I just really don't know what to tell him. Hey, I'll give him a call. You know, these were people and like each other, but they could be in the same room like coworkers. You know, hey Bob, how you doing? I'm good, Judy. How are you? I'm well. Hey, you got those papers? Yeah, I got those papers. Okay, thank you. You want to order out for lunch? Yeah. You want to order? You want to get that new place, that healthier place? Yeah. Can we get some ice cream too? Yeah, that sounds good. Did your kids graduate from high school? Yeah. Look at this here. Oh, that's amazing. So that was the friendship. It was like being with coworkers. And they said that was the point. Don't feel bad for them. Don't feel sorry for them. Just understand that even though they didn't like each other, this line of not liking each other, they want you to break that open and see that even though they didn't like each other, they loved you more than what they didn't like each other. Which literally they're looking at me going, yeah, like literally cancels out how much we didn't like each other. And like I'm saying, I'm not talking about people whose parents like scream and yell at each other. I'm just talking about people whose parents just, we stayed together. We didn't stay together for the kids. We just stayed together because people don't get divorced. You know? But their dislike of each other was less than the love they feel for you. Hold on. Their dislike for each other was less than the love. Ooh, burp. Throat chakra. Clearing. They felt for you. And that's what they were learning on this line. They were learning that their dislike of each other was less than the love they felt for you, and that together they could be this team to keep these children safe. even though they disliked each other, they could be a team together because their dislike for each other was less than the love that they felt for you. They had that first child and they fell in love with you. And then they fell in love with their second child. And they fell in love with their third child. And then like 10 years later, number 4 shows up and they're like, good Jesus Christ, good googly movie. I thought we were done with this. Someone was in menopause. And all of a sudden, oh, number 4, look at him. God, you know, I love it when we have kids. You know, yeah. Our kids are pretty goddamn great, aren't they? Yeah, they are. We make good kids. Yeah, we really do. Like, they loved being your parents. They loved being your parents. They just didn't love and like each other. But they tried to show the best example so that when you found your partners, they, somebody might even have, someone's children might even be gay. Because I'm being showed two gay men right now, and how they were happy that you found partners. They were so happy that you all found good partners that you know you could work and grow and change with, and they don't know if they were a good example to that, but they really truly tried to be. They really wanted to be that example that other people couldn't give their kids, even though they didn't like each other. And as I say, their dislike of each other was less than the love they felt for you. So their dislike was a tiny dot, but their love for you was greater. Because even though they didn't like each other, they loved being your parents more than anything in this whole wide world. They loved being your parents. And they didn't have to like each other or love each other to do that. They just had to be able to live and tolerate each other under the same roof. They just had to be able to tolerate each other. And they agreed if there ever came a point in time when they couldn't, that's when they would have to talk. Because it's not like this wasn't talked about. I mean, this is something that if you are going to follow this line, you're going to have to talk about. You know, it's the 80s. People are getting divorced. Should we get divorced? No, I don't. I think that we should keep this up, you know. Do you want to get divorced? And then they're just looking at each other going, why do we start over? Like, you know, yeah, exactly. Like, it'd be chaos. They just kind of like knew it'd be chaos. Like, why? I can stand you. You can stand me. Do you really wanna? No, not really. I really, you know, we've been dating since we were like 15 years old. And now it's the 80s, and I just don't, you know, people just don't get divorced, right? Actually, they're telling me that they thought about this in the 70s. And they were like, people just don't get divorced. You know? So they stayed married. But that was what they were supposed to do. And like I have said, their dislike for each other is less than the love they feel for you. And that's what they need you to know. And that's what they were here to learn. So this feeling that you have of being sad that your parents didn't love and like each other and find the love and like they needed, that wasn't what they were supposed to find. Even if they had separated, they still wouldn't have found each other. Even if you can sit there and go, well, you know, there was the guy next door and the girl at the grocery store, and dad probably would have toddled off to here and done this. No, they're showing me we would have lived in apartments. We would have just, you know, we would have died alone. We just never would have found anyone else because they weren't supposed to. Their souls weren't born with a partner short of each other to learn this straight, narrow line of how to live together. How to live together. And within that, and they tell me they were surprised. Like their souls, the universe is funny, the almighty. Hi, babies. I love you. I love you, baby. Douglas Arthur, your They tell me, like, yes, this was what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be, they were surprised by the universal love they had for their kids. And even now, when they look back on this, they're just shocked about how much they loved you. And they did. They just loved you all. They didn't love each other, but they loved you all. They didn't stay together because of the kids. They stayed together because in our day, people just don't get divorced. And that was the mindset. So if your parents stayed together for the kids, if this resonates with you, then okay. But that's not it. That's not it. Because if you stay together for the kids, then it's usually there is going to be somebody else out there for you. And the challenge, so when you stay together for the kids, it's a wiggly line. Basically what it is at some point in there, you're supposed to realize that you can't stay together for children. You can't stay together for this, that, or the other reason. You have to come to that realization and then let each other go and do what you're supposed to, so that whatever. This is not that. This is a mindset. And yes, staying together for the children is a mindset, but it's a mindset that that is your path, it is the mindset that you're supposed to break. It's the lesson you're supposed to learn of how to break the mindset of staying together for X, Y, and Z, you know? They give me the example of not drinking alcohol because God tells you not to, when in reality what it is you have to put yourself as the higher power and say, I'm not drinking because I don't want to and I don't like how I am when I am drinking. That God is there to bolster me up and go, okay kid, let's give you the extra sucker punch. Okay God, help me help me have the power within myself to go, I don't want that. And that's when you make yourself the higher power and God bolsters you up to help you be the higher power and be stronger than whatever that is in front of you that you don't want to do anymore. And that's what staying together for the kids is. You're supposed to learn how to get out of that mindset. You're not learning how to get out of the mindset. You're learning what it's like to be trapped in the mindset. But like I said, what they did not expect was that their dislike for each other was less than the love felt for their children. And the universe is telling me, they're like, yeah, they were very brave to go and do this. So what the universe did is the universe saw exactly how they were going to go through the path. Sneaky. And chose to give them, you guys. No matter what your trials and tribulations were, the universe made the choice to do that because these people made the choice to do this. And this is one of the hardest, they're saying this is one of the hardest lessons to choose to do. This is one of the hardest lessons to choose to do, and to do it with grace. And that's what the universe said that they knew. So that's why these people were actually so shocked. That's why throughout this relationship, they could look at each other and go, hey, Darlene called me and told me that Cody lost his first tooth, and I need to crochet or knit her a little bag for it. And, I'm going to go out to the shop and make her a little resin thing to just put all the teeth in so she can give it to him when he's older. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made it, even though they didn't like each other or love each other, they could still have some kind of co-worker partnership. So coffee. If somebody really loved coffee. See, like a coffee on a workbench, like a coffee pot on a workbench that was very loved. And like, oh, that's Dad's coffee pot. Nobody touches Dad's. It could be Mom's too, but nobody touches Dad's coffee pot. You know, dad passed away, that coffee pot is still there. And if dad has passed away, mom has not gotten rid of any of his stuff. You know, this is not the kind of relationship where when one of them passed away, they got rid of all the stuff. They didn't just, you know, oh God, thank God, I got rid of all of her stuff. No, no. They missed the coworker when they were gone. They didn't love this person. They didn't like this person. But the coworker was acceptable. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that, yeah. A little bit like you grow on each other, but not the kind of grow on each other where you fall in love. Just the kind of grow on each other where you can work in the same place and go home and have separate lives, except this time they live together and have, you know, separate rooms on occasion. They show me even like someone might even have a downstairs that maybe dad took over as his basement, with his own like TV and show me surround sound. Bonanza. Did he like have like surround sound like downstairs in the basement when like Bonanza came out on like DVD or something? Did he like get the big TV, get the big speakers and the surround sound and like watch Bonanza and like westerns? They're showing me like John Wayne to his like little freaking heart's content. Like this man was freaking happy. And that made her happy. Then that made her happy that he was happy and he was out of her hair. But that's the thing about this relationship. Neither of them ever did anything so fucking stupid and ridiculous that the other person couldn't live with them. Like, no one was ever so immature, stupid, condescending, rude, disrespectful. No one was an awful garbage human here. There was no abuse. It's just, we just shouldn't have gotten married. And, well, we're just going to live with each other forever. And then the universe is like, well, why didn't I just give you really amazing kids who are going to love you more than life itself and are always going to wonder why you just didn't get divorced? And it's because this is what your parents' life path was. And this is what your mom and dad need you to know. This is what your parents, no matter who your parents were, whether it was mom, dad, or mom and dad, or they and them, this is what you need to know. You need to know that their dislike for each other was less than the love they felt for you. Because the love they felt for you was more than the world, the moon, and the stars. They're like, their love for you was more than the love they had for the luna, la luna stella. Maybe somebody is Italian. The love they have for you is greater than the love they have for the moon and the stars. I don't write it down now, I won't remember it. For the moon and the stars. So, is there anything else? Is that all? Pink quartz. I feel like pink or pink quartz might be important to someone, but anywho. They're stepping back now. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you're very, very welcome. You're very, very welcome. So, okay, that is my message for you today. That is my message for you. I hope this resonates with your soul. And I wish you a good day. And remember, be good, behave, be happy, and be yourself. And remember, good night. God bless you, and we love you. Have happy dreams.